Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Frame This Podcast. I'm Felipe.
My name is Nate, and
today
we are
with
here
us,
with my friend.
You suck, man.
Wow. A Miss Grimm from Denver, Colorado. She is a muralist, a pen and ink artist, and just overall very, very creative mind that I've watched on Instagram for a while. Allie, would you mind introducing yourself to the people at home and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, totally. My name is Allie. I go by AL Grimm, and I am a multidisciplinary artist. I do murals, illustration, in pen and ink, paintings, digital work, NFTs, kind of do a little of everything. And
the NFT market is sure heating up.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. A friend of mine told me I should get into that, and I'm not quite sure what their appeal is, aside from the fact that they're like a trademarkable piece of art. Could you explain that a little bit?
With the NFTs? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that NFT is just a super broad term for this new age of digital art. But it really has like no bounds in terms of like what it can be and what it can't be. I think, the big pop happened like recently where people were making millions of dollars off of like a digital art piece, which is amazing. Like digital artists really haven't had an outlet to earn money without commission, like in terms of without being hired by a client in the past. So it's a really great opportunity for that. But where I personally see the value of NFTs is in the certificate of authenticity that comes with that number that you're buying. It is like a validator in terms of pricing. It's a great way to sell collectibles because they're always authenticated via the blockchain. But also, like, there's just no limit right now on what the utility of them can be. So my excitement is I use the NFT space to experiment. When I want to try a new aesthetic or just a new concept, but I'm not really sure how it's going to land or how it's going to work, it's way less expensive to test things out digitally first. And so I'll like dip my toe into a new idea via the NFT route and see kind of how it goes a little bit without having to, paint a painting that's going to take way longer and be way more intense to do. I think long term, the utility of it isn't so much in just collecting art, but more so in that certificate of authenticity and the fact that you can reward your collectors down the line because you have their wallet addresses. So you can do things where like you drop, let's say, a piece that's a limited edition of 20 or something. You can reward those 20 people in the future. And you kind of have this ability now to build this network within your collectors and be able to give them experiences in the future, like, or even now, like the next push is gamifying experiences. And so for art or for clothing or for whatever, there's so many ways in which every industry, just consumerism is going to become a video game pretty much. And
Ready Player One.
Yeah, just like Ready Player One, it's like pretty on track. Apple and Google both have glasses coming out, like the AR glasses coming out soon. Snapchat just released version 2 of theirs. So once those things are norms that we wear all the time, advertisements will always be in our face, and you won't need to like go on your phone to buy stuff. you'll be able to have virtual experiences in like as part of your daily consumer life. And so I think learning about the NFTs now is super clutch for creators because you're setting yourself up to seamlessly integrate into that when that happens.
Nate, what was that?
So it's like that's one thing, especially someone that appreciates both traditional and digital media. The biggest downside to digital used to be that there wasn't like an original in like the traditional sense of the word, and so I see NFTs as a way to do that for digital artists, to make it a piece, rather than like having to rely on there being a physical piece, a thing that is considered like the original, and then you make prints of that versus having an original digital piece through NFTs.
Yep, that's the value.
That's really cool. How does blockchain relate to that? Is that just like a security measure, like for validation?
So all these transactions happen on the blockchain, but they're super secure. Like, just the way that transactions happen on it is way safer and more transparent because you can see everything. You can literally look up any transaction.
Which one? Which blockchain? Sorry.
All of them.
Okay.
All of them simultaneously.
There's the Ethereum. There's the.
Oh, yeah. So most NFTs are on the Ethereum one, but some are on Tezos. And there might be some where you can use Bitcoin. I'm unsure, but there's a lot of altcoins that now are building their own like NFT platforms underneath.
Yep.
Yep. And so
I'm all for the Doge, man. All for the Doge.
I got some Doge. I hold on to it.
From Elon?
Later. Well, because like, what if Elon World?
He didn't create it though. He just popularized it, right?
Right.
I don't know.
No, I'm saying, did Allie meet Elon and she get some Doge from Elon?
I freaking wish he did. Allegedly, I'm not going to say he did in real life, but he maybe had bought one of my NFTs. The link says his name, but like it could be someone else. So identity concealed. Elon might be a collector of mine.
You heard it here first, people. You heard it here first.
If you see an original A.L. Grimes on Elon Musk's wall, we heard about it first. Yeah. Timestamped 6:35 on July 24th.
It's 6:38, man. Are we living in two different realities?
Yes.
Is this just a game?
Fine. Analog watch problems. So, have you always had like a creative streak, or was it something that like came about later in life as like a coping mechanism or some form of like art therapy?
So I think I always was like creative in the sense of like my way of thinking. I think, I have been rebellious since I was a kid. Like I never wanted to do things the way someone told me to do it. I wanted to find my own way to do everything. And I think that that's kind of at the root of creativity, but I didn't start making art until like 5 or 6 years ago. I was in school.
Shit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I went to school for advertising. Well, I went to school to be a copywriter, and then
hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I have an infatuation with words. Also, you can make a lot of money doing it, but I did used to write a lot as a kid, and do a lot of creative writing, and I still have a passion for it. And so I wanted to be a copywriter because I loved the nuance of words and the way that people can write contracts with loopholes because they picked a certain word over another. And I wanted to do that, and then fell into advertising and kind of was just baffled with the fact that we had an ethics class where they literally taught you how to like do things that were bad but not break the law. So just like ride that edge, and it just really made me hate school. made me hate what I was chasing and made me feel like I was manipulating people in the wrong ways. And so I dropped out of school and came home. And at the time, I was like really struggling in my life. I kind of just was a mess and um, painted a painting one day, just like out of frustration of not knowing where I wanted to go and not really having my life together. And it felt really good. And so I decided not to go back to school and kind of spend some time on myself. And in that period, I went to a music festival that had live painting and I saw people painting on a stage for the first time. And I literally like went and got a canvas and came back to the festival and started painting there, kind of just in a corner by myself. And that was like the moment where I was like, okay, this is it. This is the thing that is gonna like push me into the next part of my life.
Do you still have your original painting you did?
I don't know where it is. I actually think so. I think it's in.
Who bought it, and where can I find them?
I think it's in my mom's house in a closet. Honestly, it was weird. It looks nothing like.
It'll be worth millions when you die anyway.
Let's talk a price. We'll talk a price after. I'm serious.
It looks super different. I painted like really colorful psychedelic stuff. And then I would just do weird things like melt wax onto paintings to give it texture and do all kinds of stuff. But
I'm getting ready for my girlfriend to move in January, so I need at least one piece of art up.
Okay.
And I'd be honored to have your piece of art.
Okay.
And maybe she'd think I'm cool.
You might think you're crazy if you hang up some of my old work.
She knows I'm already crazy. She knows I'm crazy. I just need the cool factor.
Okay. You might also think you're cool, but mostly crazy.
If you're relying on a painting on your wall after she's moving in, for her to think you're cool, you might be jumping the gun a little bit there, Phil.
I've made worse.
Is my screen popping up when I talk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. It's not doing it for me. I'm just double checking.
Sorry to derail the conversation, but please continue about your journey in electronic music and festivals and art.
Yeah, that was kind of what I did for a while. Myself and another individual started this like event production company / later it became a record label. And pretty much like he handled most of the music side and then I would curate like the stage. So I did a couple paintings. Then for a while I was just like designing these like small stage builds and curating like galleries for a while. And
was this all while in DC?
Mm-hmm, yep, all in DC. And then I started working for a really big electronic musician, curating art for them. And so that kind of helped me make a lot of connections and learn a lot about the back end side of the music industry and all this while I kind of had no clue what my style was or what my artistic voice was. And then I moved to Denver and I think I just like didn't have my art supplies. And so I decided to try Inktober, just like as a fun challenge. And
still haven't done Inktober, man.
You should.
I need to make some stuff for Inktober.
I never make it through.
You call yourself an artist.
Yes,
you call yourself an ink and pen artist, Nate.
Yeah, it's a challenge for a reason.
But maybe like 4 days into Inktober, I just like made a drawing in all black and white where I was like, it just felt really good, and that's how I found my style. Like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I've just been doing that since.
She hasn't looked back. Yeah, style is always a tricky thing for some people because, like, before Picasso adopted his super abstract look, he was incredibly realistic. A lot of his earlier work is very, very realistic, and the idea that like rules are meant to be broken, but you have to know the rules first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever found yourself like a lot of your work is like realistic in the places where it needs to be, and then abstract in the places where it needs to be abstracted. Do you still like you'll do a portrait and then like abstract it? Do you practice like the realistic side so you know how to like tweak it, or do you just ad lib it?
So with the portraits, when I was doing them as drawings, I was actually drawing them and then doing the half tone by hand and kind of just figuring out tonal values.
Yeah, that just blows my mind. Like half tone by hand, like
That was like, it was really time intensive. Like,
oh yeah, it's like stippling on steroids.
oh yeah. Well, I would use a light box, and so I would like draw a portrait, shade it, and then I would put it on a light box, and then with a compass. A compass is the one that makes circles, right? Yeah, I would put a compass,
Yes.
and then I always confuse that in a protractor, but I would just pop that into the center, and then I would just trace over the drawing I had done, but fill in the tonal values thicker, and then do like thinner lines. So it was like a 3-day process to just draw a drawing that I now do in like. Then I figured out how to do it in Photoshop one day by accident, and I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing this again. This is like way too intense. So now
How do you do it in Photoshop? Do you make a circle and then make it a snap to grid shape?
You just make like a many circles layer, and then you just like pull the levels out of a portrait, and then you just like mask them over and over until you get like yeah. It's super not complicated. I just like had never thought about it, and then one day I was just messing around in Photoshop and figured it out. So now I do it that way. And then all the abstract shapes and forms are just how I translate what that emotion that the person is conveying feels like through shapes and movement, inspired by the feeling of being in a crowd at a music event, like the way that it feels when certain energies are around you. There's like a flow of motion within that feeling, and so I just build that around the portrait afterwards.
Hey, what emotions do we emote around each other when we're at a show? Nate, you
Really
buddy?
weird mix between loneliness and anxiety.
Oh, I was gonna like say like fear and damn, I'm thirsty. You want another beer, dude? That's what I think.
Yeah, somewhere between the two. I'm always fascinated by the not the correlation, the link between music and art.
It's a close knit equation.
Yeah, because we had a guest on our last guest. He's a music video director, and he would talk about like his planning process based on the song and the mood he wants to give off from that song, and yeah, just the visual and auditory link is incredible.
Yeah, it truly is.
Do you paint to a certain style of music, or do you create art to anything?
I create art to a lot of different types of music, depending on how I'm feeling or what the painting conveys. In the last like maybe 6 months, I honestly barely have listened to music. I was working in the music industry until about January, and I had a really tough time leaving because it has given me so much, but it came to a point where it was taking more from me than it was giving back.
Oh, hell yeah. That happens.
Yeah. And so after leaving, because I worked in the music that I loved, I think it was like going through a bad breakup. I had to like stop listening to cope with the fact that I had left. And now I'm like back, in it and listening to music in my studio again. And it'll be anything. Like, so if I have to like do a lot in a day, it'll be like something upbeat, or it'll be like a lot of metal music, so I can just like feel
Club
like
Snow Me.
yeah. Then I feel like someone's yelling at me, like, do your work, and I'm like, oh my god, gotta go fast. But
That's
sometimes
me and Nate's favorite. More
metal,
yelling. More
yeah,
yelling.
yeah. Or sometimes I'm feeling like really angsty, and I just like need angsty music to just get me in the field. And then sometimes I'll listen to like jazz or hip hop music, just kind of whatever the vibe in the studio is that day.
We get a new Billie Eilish album next Friday.
Sick. I love her.
I'm actually really excited about it. So
Right behind
I
you.
was listening to it.
Right back there.
Heck yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I'm gonna miss her green phase. She's
I
now
know.
going full like 70s
Oh, I'm sorry.
pop star,
Definitely.
like full glam rock.
I love
Love
it.
it.
I love everything
What?
that girl does. She
Never mind.
she is
I don't want to debate anything right now about Billy. Whatever.
Phil doesn't know anything about Billie Eilish.
Don't. Billie
Really?
Eilish. Oh, eyelash. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I at least know how to say her name right.
she is the girl that I wanted to be when I was 13 years old. That was like who in my mind I was at 13.
What stopped you?
Dude,
What
we
stopped
should
you
make
at 13?
an expectations versus reality Instagram post as a promotional for this interview. I love the Instagram like TikTok trend where it's like how hard did puberty hit you, and it's like a childhood photo and then like a photo now.
You guys don't want to know what I looked like as a 13-year-old. It was not good.
Oh, we're gonna
same.
do a post. We're gonna do a post one time of like us in, 8th grade.
Nobody wants that.
Nate,
Yeah.
how was your photo day done? Did you do a photo day when you were homeschooled? Did you have
Yeah.
a photo day in the calendar? Was it on the calendar?
No, it was
No.
just for posterity. It sucked.
Okay.
There's this one time I forgot to tie my tie correctly, and it was like here. You can't see. It was like right below my chest. It didn't go below my belly button. It was so short that when I buttoned my blazer, it didn't like go below the button. Yeah.
Ladies, and AL Grime. We got 10 minutes left. Just to let you know.
Okay.
The call, but we'll send another link out. I just want to give you a heads up. Nate also was styling in a colonial uniform. Did I say what I say? Not Zoom.
A colonial uniform?
But yeah, my mom loved sewing and would always make us costumes. It was precious.
When we went to Williamsburg.
You have to wear a colonial outfit when you go to Williamsburg. That's like, it's not you.
Yeah, unless you're a full-grown woman that doesn't have the patience to make one for yourself. Just your kids do.
Oh my gosh.
All right, back to the music and art.
Yeah.
Music and art.
Yeah, so this is how our interviews go. They go in a circle and then they go like off to the side.
I'm the instigator.
Bill will like find a tangent and dig it up.
Okay.
Good about that.
So when you said that you went to a music festival where there was like live painting, did you know that there was live painting before you went and that's what attracted it to you, or was it just the music?
I went for the music. And then I like maybe knew that it was happening, but I had just never experienced it in person. And as soon as I saw these, it was like not necessarily the act of them painting in front of people. That what it was that everyone there was making art that in a style I had never seen. It was just so weird and out of the box and like intense in so many ways. And in my mind, my parents had actually like encouraged me to go to art school as a kid because I loved to write and I had always been pretty creative. And I had actually told them no because I wanted to be successful and I wanted to go there.
That's backwards. That's normal. That's like it. That's so funny. Like normally the parents are like, no, don't go to art school because you want to be successful.
Yeah. So when I saw, I just like was rebellious. I like actually still today have an actual problem with authority. And like, it was this concept that if I pursued art was meant to be vulnerable, but I would have to play by someone's rules. And so it just didn't seem of importance to me because I never wanted to play by someone's rules. And then I went to this music festival and saw these people painting so out of the box where it was the first time in my mind it clicked that art doesn't have to have rules. And actually you can be successful even if you're not, Takashi Murakami. You can actually, there are tiers where you are still successful and self-sustaining, but you're your own, freak, and or your own unique person, freaks. But yeah, that was like the first time that I maybe believed that I could take a talent that I didn't even know I have yet and it would be worthwhile to pursue it.
When did that click for you? When did like the switch go off that like it is possible to be a successful artist and not compromise my rebellious nature?
Totally, just talking to the artists there, just being and every artist I spoke to was so different, but had this just very calm sense of freedom about them. And that was like all I needed to be like, okay, these people are free. They're allowed to be themselves and they're just hustling. And, I've never been like afraid of the need to work hard. I just am a perfectionist. And so I never do anything where I don't think that maybe I will succeed at it if I tried hard enough. If it feels like it is inevitably failure, then I just can't set my mind to it. So I think like in that moment, talking to all of them and hearing them all tell me about their journeys and their experiences, it just like my mind just completely opened to it. And I was like, okay, this is a thing I want to do. And it became a challenge of like, can I do what these people do coming in this late in the game? I was like 25 then, 26, 25, which is late for like a person to start pursuing an art career. But it just became.
How do you, so I was watching an inking time lapse. There's a guy inking a piece by Bernie Wrightson. It was like a blue, one of those blue tinted prints. He like printed off the piece and then tinted it blue and he's inking over it. And he's like, and you can do anything or you can create anything as long as you're willing to like put in the time. So like, it's not that people are like bad at art. It's just that they don't want to be put in the time to, to get there. Mm-hmm. When you said you don't want to start something unless you know that you can like succeed at it, what's the breaking point for something? Do you ever like stop halfway through knowing you won't be able to finish it well? Or do you just, once you start, you have to finish it? Or like, how many scrap pieces are there in your sketchbook?
Almost
as opposed to like, yeah, okay.
Even I like used to have a sketchbook, but I couldn't keep it up because I like couldn't stop until it would be done. And, like who has time to draw extremely intricate drawings every single day over and over, So I'm very intentional in what I put my time into. I'm not going to lie. I like for sure am still not in a place where I understand how long things take. And so am just a ball of anxiety in my studio all day being like, how will I ever finish all these things? But I like the challenge. And I definitely don't do busy work. Everything I do has to have an end result, which I think is a positive and a negative. Like I don't make a lot of downtime for myself or like do things just because. But on the flip side of it, I'm very comfortable failing at things. Like everything I do, I think is a risk. And I go into it with the understanding that I might fail at it, the hope that that it will be a success, but the understanding that it's the reality is I could fail at this because it's something I've never done, or I'm just like really pushing the limit on this thing right now and I don't know if it'll happen, but I don't care because for me, like a small failure in one thing is just one step closer to the next. So everything gets finished, even if it sucks.
Since you say you don't sketch or sort of, brainstorm, are you like experimenting on the go with each new piece you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think at this point in my career, that's kind of where I'm at. I do so I will start compositions in Photoshop that are like half compositions, or I do have things where I'll have an idea for a pattern and I'll just make it, but it doesn't have a purpose yet, but then it will get used for something in the future. What I don't do is just like make things for the sake of making them. Everything like has a purpose. And that's only because at this point in time, I'm just so booked that I don't really have time to like make things for fun. I think if I did have that time, I would definitely go back to sketching things. And I took October kind of off because I love Inktober. It's like the time when I get to challenge myself and I see my style every time I do it. Yeah. Every time I do Inktober, my style elevates because I have that time to like try a bunch of things. And I love the challenge of ink in that if you make a mistake, you have to adapt it and like do something else with that mistake. You can cover it, you can transform it into something else, but there's no back button. Whereas because I work mostly digitally now, I'm super reliant on Control Z. And Inktober like removes the Control Z out of my life.
That's our first shirt, man. That's our first shirt. We're gonna have a shirt with Control Z on it.
Super reliant on Command Z.
Yeah.
All right, Command. Yep.
Yeah, Command. So I like to give myself that challenge every once in a while of like, there is no backspace. Now figure it out. And that's
the shirt. There is no backspace.
There is no backspace. As a follow-up to that, since you mostly do digital work now, how has that transition been from physical art to digital art? Is that opened up your mind and your eyes to more possibilities, or you're still in that, I guess, mode of that medium of physical art? Because I know you're a muralist and you've done countless murals. So how has that transition been?
I think it hasn't been too tough on me because I have always just had this infatuation with technology and the future and like using tools in interesting new ways. I definitely think that my hiatus from physical art, art is like riding a bike. If you stop painting, like very recently I started painting murals again, mostly because I live in Denver and it's cold and it's hard to like spray paint in the winter here. But my first mural back, I was like, I am rusty.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. And
challenge accepted. Nate, challenge accepted. Let's go.
It was a little rough. Even like picking up a paintbrush again for the first time in 8 months or 6 months or whatever, certain handles like were not quite in control the way they were. So I do still try to like book a painting, book a mural. So I'm not like using my training wheels on those things. But honestly, like I find so much joy in the digital side of creating. It's like, I love the instant gratification aspect of it, that, you can test things really fast. I love how experimental it is. And then now that there is this realm of NFTs and I love augmented reality, now that I can play with these things that I've always been fascinated by, I think it's like, I feel like a kid in a candy store. Just going from like that nerdy kid that loved Tron to now living in Tron, basically. I'm like, this is fun. Like, I'm just get to build my own world that I was weird for dreaming of when I was little, you know?
All right, so that makes it a little bit. I wanted to ask you how you would create a piece and have the background to be moving, or have an aspect of it be like warping without it being digital. For some reason, I thought you did a lot of your stuff traditionally, so that clears up a little bit of the mist,
Everything
the mist around.
everything except for my Inktober pieces is digital first. And then, so technically, my original pieces are always digital. And then I'm just recreating them physically, whether it be like a painting or a mural. Murals, I always especially do. Sometimes I'll adapt
So
things.
do you do like a projector and then paint them?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's really small. And if it's really small, I do a physical transfer. Because sometimes, like, when a piece is small, like 12 inches by 12 inches, like messing with the shadow of your hand can be so tricky that sometimes, like on a small piece like that, it's just better to do it all via like a transfer. So I'll just like print it out, and then I use transfer paper. I just like sketch it back on. But with that method, I sketch pretty loosely, and then I actually will like paint in most of it, because you can't like rub your hand on it on the transfer paper, or it messes it up. So when I have to do that, it's pretty loose, and I'm mostly just like painting everything in.
Sorry, y'all. My connection just said, "Fuck you."
We kicked you out.
In particular,
I do apologize. You were saying about transfer paper and smudging. That's the last thing I got. You guys probably finished that point and said, "Oh no, where did Phil go?"
We did.
It's okay.
We
Everybody
missed
knows
you.
me.
he made his graceful exit.
Um,
You ever see the YouTube videos of like, I think they're college humor videos where it's like if you saw like Batman leaving, so they would do like an edit of Gordon talking to Batman, and then he turns around and you see Batman like shuffling away like behind like the trash can or something, or like uh,
Just making his great escape.
graceful exit, graceful exit.
Yes.
no, I'm super loud and annoying and rambunctious, and yeah, that's how I make.
Speaking of Great Escape, I watched Chicken Run with a friend of mine for the first time. Have you guys seen Chicken Run?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we were watching Chicken Run. He'd never seen it. I've seen it before. We were watching Chicken Run like a couple years ago, and he's like, "Holy shit, this is a prison movie!"
It is.
And it's a direct spoof of The Great Escape from like the '60s, I think, with like Steve McQueen and a couple other.
Oh, really? But with chickens?
Yeah, but with chickens.
That would be great.
It's a '60s Steve McQueen. It's a World War II movie with Steve McQueen done by chickens. It's great.
I thought that was the 50s.
Close enough.
Never mind. I don't know. I won't challenge you on that.
Hey man,
Ellie, when do you make
the
time?
'60s are just about as far away as
60s are alive and well, man.
They are.
Love and acid trips.
Also that.
Die hippies. Ellie, when do you make time for yourself? Are you allowed to do that? Do you allow yourself that time for yourself? Or you just work, and you can't you just live off work?
It's a point of contention in my life. I'm like learning again to make time. I just like have always been a perfectionist, but also I'm extremely competitive. And I think more than externally, I'm extremely competitive with myself in that I like have a grasp that if you work hard, things pay off. And so I think since I was a kid, um, I've always just like wanted to be better than I thought I could be. And so I kind of like work a little too hard. And I think this year I've just been really blessed with a lot of opportunities that I never thought I would have. And so this year I'm working exceptionally hard, but am keeping in mind that burnout is a real thing for artists and that it's important to start scheduling time for myself to prevent, that chase of being the best becoming actually the thing that becomes my demise in all of this.
Yep.
As it is. But I should do more fun things. I'm a little unfun right now.
Well, you're on here with us. You're on here with us. So that should be your.
That's your fun thing for the week.
We really try to be fun and not too serious.
No, this is fun. This is the least, one of the less aggressive things I'm doing this week.
Well, we appreciate it. I've been
a boss.
At my day job. One of the guys left, so that redistributes all of the paperwork to the rest of us. And then on top of that, I'm starting pre-production on my project, and my wife just ended her current contract and is taking a week or two off, so I have to deal with all of that. So it'll be a fun couple of weeks. So
you mean having your wife at home with you? You mean not having time to yourself?
Yeah, I won't have like any time for me. It's gonna be great.
Welcome to my life.
This is me and Nate's relationship. We just bust each other's balls all the time.
That's good. You have to have those friends.
He's one day older than I am.
Oh, that's so cute, guys. That's pretty precious. I'm not gonna lie.
We met at a Starbucks and we go to rock shows and we have the same size Vans and we're a day apart.
Wearing the same hat. Shout out to Nate's clothing line.
We both showed up and he's like, "Are we wearing the same hat?" I was like,
I love it.
We're wearing the same damn hat.
Well, yeah, work-life balance is really difficult for me too. So I appreciate that on a spiritual level.
Totally.
Because I'm sure you understand, is like I would be drawing for free and just have the blessing to be paid to do it. So like, it's not work to me. I could draw for hours, a day. Like last weekend, I drew like 7 or 8 hours on a Saturday, and she's like, "Are you done yet?" I'm like, "No,
never done."
No, babe.
It's never done.
You should have known when she married you that you're dedicated to your art.
It's gotten better. It's gotten better. But I think once she understood that it was like a viable career that could make money for the household, But
yeah.
How did you
Let me do my
art? Yeah, just about. How do you? So if you don't have any sketches, so to speak, how do you go about your planning process? How do you work through a new idea? Is it from start to finish and just kind of evolves?
Yep. I have it's just become a very bad habit where I also thrive under pressure, where I just wait until I feel pressure and then under pressure. And then my brain I just have to wait. It's like one spark. I'll sit on it. I dream about the pieces that I make a lot. I'll dream that I'm painting a lot.
I was going to ask you that. Do you have dreams where you come up with your ideas and then wake up and then either write or jot them down, but your brain works so well that you can just recall them?
It does. And so the positive of the digital is that without having to make pre-sketches, I can literally just open my computer, sit down in Photoshop and be like, I dreamed this last night. I have to make it. And so a lot of that stuff.
What do you use to actually create the marks? Do you use a Wacom tablet or a Cintiq or an iPad on AstroPad? What's your Digital tool of choice.
A lot of things. So some of the patterns. So a lot of my process now is using like patterns that I've already made, and then I'll just like mask them back into things. But a lot of them, so some of them are like all the paint splatters I do are actual paint splatters I've done in my ink drawings or in my paintings, and then I photograph them and I just posterize them. So they come from real things. Some of them are from my sketchbooks that
I know what that means.
Make. Yeah.
As not a graphic artist.
Yeah.
I deal with noise. I don't deal with this.
It's just making it flat black and white. So it'll just like make a pattern, or I'll just like with the halftone for the portraits, I just like made a halftone pattern that I just reuse. So I'm just like, sometimes if I need to make something new, I'll make something new, but they come from all kinds of places. Like either I find them, I'll photograph patterns out like with my phone sometimes and then posterize them and just warp them or manipulate them.
Have you ever used Adobe Capture?
Yeah.
I'll use that for patterns if I ever see like a rug that has a cool texture that I want to like import into something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's gonna photograph it. I'm gonna lay on it.
There you go.
Maybe he'll take a photograph of me laying on the rug.
Yeah, and then he'll use it for graphic design.
Minus me.
I don't know. You could be a key component in this new design.
That's the last thing on Nate's mind when he's designing.
He looks stressed.
Who, Nate or me?
I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate Phil into my design now.
Can I be one of the faces on your ship? Part of the crew,
like the masthead. Oh,
sure,
yeah.
Man. Yeah, make me that.
Phil's gonna be the mermaid up on the front of the ship under the bowsprit.
That's a.
I love it.
That's gonna sell you a lot of pieces there.
Well, it's funny because my younger brother, he's just gotten into both face swapping and 3D printing, and he scanned some friends of his at school and made Mount Rushmore with them.
Oh my gosh!
Like a little like 3D printed Mount Rushmore with him and his friends. He also took the "Never Gonna Give You Up" music video and put his face on it.
Ooh, is this Toby?
Yeah, Toby.
Ew. Ew.
They look nearly identical. I didn't even know that he did it. He sent this video to me. I'm like, what is this?
Ew. Rick all the way. Speaking of Mount Rushmore, Allie, do you have a Mount Rushmore of either artist, like in the medium sense, and then music artist? Do you either have a
like my top 4 favorites?
Yeah, like your Mount Rushmore.
I was wondering where he was going with that because I have no idea what he's talking about.
Let me show you my Mount Rushmore sculpture that I just made. No, I'm just kidding.
Shit, you got a Mount Rushmore sculpture?
No. He's making fun of me.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's fun to make fun of Nate.
Well, no, I thought. Yeah, that's Phil's job.
I think in the art world, in both art and music, I think less so than style-wise, I'm super drawn to people who are innovators, who are just like doing something that's completely out of the box for the first time, or who are very vocal against, going against the grain. So Yayoi Kusama is like one of my biggest inspirations. She's like not only like one of the most legendary artists in the world, but she started, she came to the America and in the 60s when American abstract was a huge thing. And at the time, in war times, a Japanese woman was not about to be getting shows in big galleries. It's not in the 60s. And so she literally would take her paintings to galleries and just hang them on the wall next to, the Damien Hirsts of the gallery world, or the Jackson Pollocks. She would just put her art there. And she sold
if you were to have the balls to do that, where would you hang it, and what piece would it be of yours if you were to guerrilla warfare the MoMA?
I think I would take it to the MoMA.
Yeah.
But I think if I was going to do something, I haven't made that piece yet. I would make something really just the most obscenely weird thing I've ever made and take it to the MoMA. I do have, my friend makes these like meme shirts, and I do have a t-shirt that says the Museum of Modern Art, but then it has the monster logo on it, and it's like in monster font. And I do wear that to art galleries when I go to galleries, just because I feel it's of importance. So I would wear that shirt also while I was doing this and make sure that
you run in, put a nail in the wall, hang you.
Yep. I love it. It's like my favorite shirt because it's just so obnoxious. But yeah, Yayoi Kusama was doing that and just was super ballsy, and also just did a lot of weird installation art that people thought she was super weird for, but now we consider her like prolific as hell. And so she's a badass. I think Felipe Pantone's probably at the top of that list too. I think what Pantone does that others don't necessarily do is I don't know the guy. I don't really know, but the way I see his art, it's not pushing the aesthetic of art. It's pushing the utility of art and what art means in general. And I super admire that, especially.
Is he what Pantone colors are named after?
No, I think other way. He started in graffiti, and he would write Pant One, like a lot of graffiti writers end their name with one or something. So he was Pant One, and then now is doing like installations, painting race cars. The guy is like 5,000 years ahead of all of us in terms of the utility of art. And I think that I'm a firm believer that there are no more first ideas. We're so submerged in information all the time and absorbing, and we're always being influenced by things, even if we don't realize it. And so for a person to have that comprehension of like, there are no more unique ideas in terms of aesthetics, so how do I create unique applications instead? I think that is a super genius way of approaching art, and just changing the dynamic of art isn't just something that hangs on your wall. It is something that intrinsically becomes a part of your life. And so I super admire him for that approach to things.
So that's two.
That's two.
People.
My gosh, there are so many people. I think that the musician-wise, artist.
So this is a mix-up then. So we'll just do a mix-up. You get two artists, two
musicians. We'll do 2 and 2.
Okay.
There you go.
Musician-wise, the musician Pink was like pivotal to my life. Definitely, I was like such a tomboy as a kid, and I had really short hair, and because I wanted to have like a pixie cut, and I wore boys' clothes, and I got picked on a lot. Not picked on, but like people would ask me the question like, "Are you a girl or a boy?" when I was in like 4th grade, which is like, especially back then, was like weird to even have a comprehension of. And then Pink came out, and she was super muscular and had short hair and was such a badass, like could belt music out like no one's business. And that was the first like person that I had an emotional connection to as like musician wise, being like, this person is themselves wholeheartedly. And so I can be myself 110% because this woman is doing it and she's like on TV for it. And so I think she like completely reshapes my life. And then I think within that same path, I think as a band, like Linkin Park did the same thing for me because their music was so authentically about emotion in a way that music maybe wasn't necessarily, or at least like popular culture music wasn't as raw as they maybe were. And their sound was so different and their work was tech driven. And so it immediately like drew me in. Their visuals were like way ahead of their time. Their sound was so way ahead of its time. But then their lyrics were something that like for sure as a teen, like being angsty as hell and just super depressed and not knowing myself, then hearing these people sing about stuff like that completely changed my life. And I think they as a band were just so outside the box. There's still no one that sounds like them. And they were pushing the boundaries on art and technology in ways that I think they're so undervalued still today. Even in terms of like digital visual effects that they were putting in their music videos, they were doing stuff in like 2003 that people are just figuring out today. And like pixel glitching or, you know, distorting things in certain ways, like no one was doing things like that back then. So I think that's still for sure like one of my greatest influences and music I still listen to like almost every day because it just like is angsty and nice, but also because they're geniuses as far as I'm concerned. Those are my top 4 of them. I look at a lot of other people in a lot of other realms for inspiration, but I think those people.
There you go.
Have
That's your
impacted
Mount
me.
Rushmore of physical artists and musicians. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Have you ever considered publishing like a coffee table version of your work, or is that too self-infatuated?
Oh no, I would love to. I just don't have a big enough body of work yet to do so. But when I do, it is at the top of my list of things to do. Just not like it's a goal, but I just don't think I have enough to fill it all the way
Well,
yet.
at this point, it's not going to be a physical book. It's going to be a digital piece of art
Yeah.
that you flip through.
Yeah, totally. Maybe like a little physical component too. I could make like a pamphlet right now with my current body of work. A zine.
Piece of art has something printed on the back too.
Yeah, she dropped the Z word.
Yeah. I could do that. But no, I think coffee table books are great. I collect them. And I think when you get to a certain point in your career where people maybe have invested in the aesthetic of what you do, getting to tell the stories of everything underneath it, even if no one ever really reads it because people just flip through coffee table books, just having that moment of expression is super important for an artist in their career.
Yeah.
We put
I had a
things
question,
in
but I forget
people's
what it was.
ears, not for their eyes. So that's our coffee table book
Coffee table podcast.
Yeah. You can trademark.
It's going to be one of those, when you go to the museum and they have like those little virtual tours, and you'll go over, and you'll type in the coordinates of whatever, instructions about the piece you're looking at, or it's like a button. It's like press here for more information. That's going to be our podcast. Phil will install little buttons on coffee table. It's like, and it'll play a blurb from our episode.
That sounds like fun, honestly.
How much information could we put on like a little speaker?
You get a lot.
Just start installing Amazon Alexas everywhere that can only give people
our information.
Excerpts from our podcast.
Sure. Allie, I wanted to ask.
Actually, hang on. All right, go for it.
You go. No, go.
Sit on
go. We got 10 minutes left, so go.
All right, Phil and I each get a question, and we'll wrap this up. How has marketing or your knowledge of marketing and copy affected the growth of your art career?
Oh, for sure has helped it so much. For a couple years between the phase of me being a full-time artist and building these stages, I was managing musicians. And so even though I'm not great at talking about myself necessarily, my knowledge of managing someone else, it was intense. And but
We're nuts.
I grew to love these kids so much that's why it was really sad for me to leave the music industry and hard, because I really love them and I want to like see them succeed. And so, but you know, that time that I spent with them was super critical in me understanding what branding means for an artist. And I think it's benefited me in that, like, I know what you have to do to help people understand who you are, visually through social media or through the way that you present yourself or put yourself out there, all those things.
Yeah, I definitely have a specific style, but as far as like getting my art out there and like advertising it, I'm definitely still very bad at it.
It's weird to do, but
Yeah.
you just got to do it, unfortunately. But it feels
all right, Phil, go.
Like it. So this is a two-parter actually. Where can people find your work outdoors? Do you have some pieces in DC that are still up, or is it mostly in Denver right now?
So I have some in Denver, in Boulder, Colorado, in New York City, in Philadelphia. I think that's all that's like still alive. Oh, and in Miami. And then I'm going home. I'm going back to DC at the end of August to paint a mural there. So soon there will be one in DC. And then I'm going to Springfield, Missouri, if you're ever driving through there, very soon to paint one there.
DC, yeah.
Yeah, DC.
I'll come see you paint, and I'll take a selfie, and I go, I know
Yeah.
this person.
It's at a metro station.
Wait, when in August?
I think the last week. We're in like the final phase of planning it, but I think it'll be last week of August, beginning of September for installation.
I'll see when your episode comes out. Maybe Phil and I can go visit for a PR trip.
Yeah, and it's super accessible. It's at the top of a metro stop, and it's right downtown, so it'll be super cool.
All right, Phil. Let's actually hang on. I can tell you.
That was part one question. What's next for AL Grime?
So many things. I am working on a bunch of murals. I'm doing a couple of gallery shows, one in Atlanta with ABV, currently one in Philadelphia with Arch Enemy, and then one in Albuquerque with Anthony Hurd Gallery. And then a bunch of murals, and I have a clothing collaboration coming out in November, which is
a clothing line. What?
Yes.
What's about this? Can you like give us a quick little thing about your clothing line? Quick little snippet.
I can say that it is connected to the NFT drop that I did recently that had shirts. It's an expansion on that idea, and it's with Low Key Industries, which is a Denver streetwear brand. We're collaborating on it. So yeah, kind of all of those things, which sounds like not a lot, but all of those things have, as you guys know, a million moving parts. Everything has a million moving parts that no one sees. And so working on those things, and then just scheduling murals for next year. I'm taking all of December off to be a human being again. And so no one call me in December.
So you're taking the red pill in December?
Yes.
Good for you. Good.
I'm gonna take some NyQuil and sleep for 30 days. You know.
You got something
Dayquil, NyQuil, and MonthQuil.
Yes. I'm gonna take some MonthQuil and sleep for 31 days. Maybe that's what the red pill is. That's MonthQuil.
MonthQuil.
Hey, maybe you'll have some crazy ideas from all those dreams you're gonna have.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
Well, cool. We'll be respectful of Zoom's time and also yours, Allie, as you are a busy artist. And and internet personality. Yeah, this has been Frame This Podcast. Phil and I have been talking with Allie Grimes from Colorado, a muralist and pen and ink artist, musician, accessory. Is that
Yes.
a stage dresser, painter? Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Manager.
There are so many like rabbit holes I wanted to go down, but I wanted to get more of a shotgun.
But I derailed every one of them.
Yes.
Okay. We'll just have to do it again, and then we can dive
round 2
into rabbit holes as we go.
Who's up for round 2?
If you got time, we're down.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
I'm very bad at finding things right now, but I will find some time for you guys. Promise.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to indulge us with your life and your work and being on the podcast, because this is just some crazy idea I hatched up one day, and I said, "Nate, you want to start a podcast?" And he said, "I don't know." But, almost 20 episodes later,
here we are.
We're here, man. We're here.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. You can find me and Nate at Frame This Podcast. You can find Allie at
framethispodcast.com.
And Frame This Podcast. Oh, yep. Shout out to the website. Thank you. Allie, where can everyone find your work and your journey in your life?
I have a website, algrimeart.com. If you want to follow the clothing line and the NFTs, it's liminalreality.net. And then just on Instagram, a.l._grime, and on Twitter, algrimeart.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Well, as always, everybody, this has been Frame This Podcast. Stay hungry and stay safe. And Phil,
stay creative, everybody.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
Cheers.
It's been real. Have a good weekend, Allie. Thanks again.
Thank you guys so much.
Woo!
Chat with you again soon.